Hey guys, 2.0 is back in the house. Welcome back to another episode of 2.0. We are so happy to be back on your screen. Before we go any further, I just want to take a minute to say thank you for your love and support for this platform, for this movement. We appreciate it. Thank you for sharing the link with a friend, and I hope this is sparking conversations among you and your friends or you and your partner. So we hope it's doing the work and it's starting to get things going for you. So don't forget to continue to share the link. So if you are someone new who's just stumbled upon our page, welcome. We would like to extend the invitation to you right now to hit the subscribe button to become one of our subscribers. And don't forget to hit the little notification bell so that every time we release an episode, you will be notified and to check it out. So So today I have a great guest for you in the studio. It is a pleasure to welcome him. Fun fact is, him and I actually worked together over 15 years ago. So it was, so it's actually a treat to have him here to share his story on 2.0. So it's a pleasure to welcome my dear friend David. Dave, welcome to 2.0, man. How are you?
Thank you, thank you. I've been good. I appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like I said, man, we worked together over 15 years ago, and I feel like I haven't seen you ever since
I
then.
mean, yeah, it's been a while. You seem to not have changed much, but always with the suit
Oh,
pressed.
remember that? I used to show up in the suit every time.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you, man. I
yeah.
mean, you haven't changed much either, except a little bit of gray hair, just
Gray.
like
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
But that's about it, man. It was a fun time. So even though we haven't spoken in a while, but I still, follow you on social media, and I was aware of the hot sauce company that you created with the hot peppers and all
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that. How's that
yeah.
going?
It's I had to take a step back.
Okay.
All the materials, the bottles, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It got too expensive.
Gotcha.
All the stuff being shipped over. I remember everybody was buying them all up.
Mm-hmm.
Prices were skyrocketing, and it's just
Okay.
like, you know what? Let me take a step back and wait this through.
Right.
You know, but now we got the terrorists that we have to deal with. So now it's like, okay. So I might have to adjust the prices.
Okay.
And that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of
Gotcha.
having to raise the prices.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, because you don't want to make it too expensive for the customers. So,
Right.
no, got it. But yeah, man, it was interesting, to see you developing that skill. At some point, you were growing your own peppers, so that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, yeah. Growing. So I wanted to see, if I could learn how to, because I didn't have a green thumb.
Okay.
You know, I tried to grow the peppers and possibly buy maybe land and grow. You know what
No,
I'm saying?
yeah, 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 yeah.
But what that turned into is, I've learned to. I did develop a green thumb, and now I grow my own food.
Nice.
That which has become my new passion now. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, man, that's good because everybody's is looking to do things organically. So you're
right.
definitely growing your own food. So that's perfect, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's get right into it. I mean, one of the things that kind of like transpired the me reaching out was because of of an exchange that I saw, and I say, you know what, that's I think there is a story there. We can kind of like just do a deeper dive and talk about it and discuss it here on this platform because on this platform initially I started talking about the impact of divorce on men because oftentimes people don't think how it impacts men, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they think men are macho,
Hmm.
we're supposed to like be strong, like nothing impacts us, but they don't know that we deal with some emotional issues or some
Absolutely.
mental issues that are that derives from going through a divorce or from having to deal with the ripple effect of a divorce. So when I saw your story a little bit, I'm like, you know what? I think I should reach out and give him a
Yeah.
platform to just talk about it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, that post I went on a Facebook rant.
Hmm.
Um, I had uh, I had gone to court that day and it didn't turn out. It didn't work out in my favor,
Okay.
and I was so frustrated because this is 17 years of going
Wow.
through this,
Wow.
and I was just frustrated. I was done. So and for those reasons, right?
Yeah.
Because men, at least for me, it was a little embarrassing because I don't talk about my problems.
Right. Right. Right.
And I said I had to overcome that and be like, I'm gonna express myself.
Right.
I'm gonna do it on Facebook. You know, yeah, I remember thinking like I'm about to hit up a good friend of mine who would understand what I'm
Yeah.
going through. But I
Yeah.
said, you know what? Before I do that, I'm gonna go on a rant on Facebook. I was like, I'm gonna be petty right now, but yeah, no, it's because, and the
Yeah.
reason I did is because, and I said it in that post,
Mm-hmm.
is 17 years of dealing with this in
Yeah.
silence,
Wow. Wow.
right? Because I feel like when I do talk about this with anybody,
Mm-hmm.
no one can relate. You know, I went through something that a little different than others.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I try to co-parent with a narcissist.
Mm.
You know, and that's a huge challenge that I would not wish on my
Wow,
worst
on
enemy.
anybody. Yeah, yeah.
So,
So it's interesting. You said, for 17 years you tried to battle it in silence. Why do you think that was?
that's huge to unpack.
Okay, so let's leave it there and then we'll come back to it. All
Yeah.
right. So
Okay.
let's take a trip back 17 years ago.
17
So
years ago.
yeah, so you are married now, but you were married previously, right? And this 17 years of battle is from the first marriage.
Correct.
So how old were you when you first got married? The first time.
So we were in high school when we started dating.
Okay.
She,
So that was your high school sweetheart?
I guess you can say that. I mean, and we got pregnant
Okay.
senior year in high school.
Wow.
So we were young kids,
Okay.
right? And we weren't get we I wasn't forced to get married, but I was pretty much forced to like
Yeah, to own up to the
own up to
responsibility.
my
Yeah.
responsibility, and I did. You know, I had both parents in my life. They were good parents. There were some issues there, but
Yeah.
I learned enough where like I'm going to own up to my responsibility, and I was committed. So that was back in 2000.
Okay.
I graduated from high school, hit the floor running.
Wow.
Right, there was no enjoying my youth. It was
Okay. Right into manhood.
manhood, dadhood, fatherhood. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no manual for this,
Right.
right? So I'm 18, 19 years old, and
Wow.
like just
Dealing with a kid. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So okay, so you guys moved in together, and then at some point you decided you were gonna get married.
Yep. So we got married. It's one of those things where like it just kept getting put off. We had two kids. We had a second child, and I think right after that is when, we went ahead and got married.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you had two kids before you got married.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually you have a third one.
Eventually, so yeah, so we were married for about 4.5 years,
Okay.
right? So we had a third child,
Wow.
and a year later we were divorced, or
Wow.
just over a year later, right?
That's crazy.
Yep.
So how old were you when you got divorced?
So I was 28.
28.
Yeah, 28 years old.
Okay.
28 years old, three kids,
Wow.
and divorced.
That is crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, so we dealt with the whole relationship was very challenging.
What?
It was, and I'm not crying victim here.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know I had, I'm at fault at some areas.
Right.
I'm not innocent, but yeah, there was a lot of insecurity on her part where it was so bad that just me getting home 15 minutes late,
Okay.
I must be with someone else.
Wow.
And and I wasn't. It was just I just took a detour, whatever. Construction.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was exhausting. It was exhausting. So our major issues was, it wasn't infidelity. It was just her insecurities, me being accused of infidelity. The other issues that we struggled with is parenting.
Parenting.
Right. So I was, disciplinary. I was pretty strong on the kids. I will admit, and I did spank, where she was more passive. She was highly against the spanking, so there was always arguments surrounding that.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times, she would express her, her disagreement on my parenting in front of the children.
Oh wow.
So that would even make it worse. Where sometimes the kid would test me because knowing that the mother would be there
Back
to back
them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids will do that, man. They're pretty smart. They'll
Yeah.
put the parents against each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
So,
mean, I just want to add that, like, yeah, there was those moments that the kids challenged me, but the kids and I, although I was firm in the disciplinary,
yeah.
I always made time. We had a great relationship.
Nice.
So it wasn't just, you know, an angry dad all the
Yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
So.
yeah. So you said you were married for about 4.5 years, but you were together for 10 years,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
So was the insecurity issue was it all throughout the marriage, the relationship, or did it started happening like later on, like maybe after she started having kids?
So it was throughout the whole time. So here's the thing. We were friends before uh, we got into a relationship so she knew some of the activities
Okay,
that I would get into, right?
gotcha.
So it's one of those things where, like, once a player, I guess, always,
Always a player,
and
yeah.
right, and so she witnessed some of that behavior. So it was like, well, he's probably still doing it,
Still doing it, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that contributed to that.
Wow.
But yeah, it lasted throughout the whole 10 years of
Okay.
our relationship. Towards the end, 2008, it there was like a 180, right? So
Yeah.
it was like it was always me being accused of infidelity, but
Right.
she actually
Oh, she's the one who actually
ended up
committed
cheating.
infidelity.
And
Wow.
I feel like it's inevitable, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, if you feel like, and I've always thought of that, like, you're always accusing me of cheating.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're gonna actually go out and cheat, thinking that I did?
Right, right.
And eventually she did.
Wow.
And to add, to the wound, salt to the wound, it was
Yeah.
with my cousin. So,
Your
so
own cousin?
own cousin.
Oh my
So,
God.
so yeah. So after that,
Wait, so did you actually have a conversation with the cousin
I
afterwards?
did.
Okay.
I did. And he
He's still,
denied
he's
it.
still your cousin?
No, yeah, he's still my cousin. I mean, we don't talk as.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember the last time I talked to him, but
Right.
he denied it. He denied to the end.
Gotcha.
Oh, she's making it up
Right,
because she
right, right.
she confessed.
She
She was
confessed.
like,
Oh,
oh.
wow.
So what it was is the reason for her confession was hoping that I confessed my infidelity,
Gotcha.
and
But there was nothing to
there was
confess
nothing
to.
to confess.
Got it.
I'll tell you how crazy this is. Because when we split, she did make the attempt to reconcile,
Okay.
but I had to confess my infidelity. Yeah, I had to admit to it, and
So that was the prerequisite. That was a condition to.
but she specifically, she thought there was something at one time, a long time ago.
Okay.
She believes that I had a thing with her mother.
What?
It's wild.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow. Wow.
But she's been through enough trauma herself
Okay.
that to her this isn't crazy or
Crazy.
absurd.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So she had some, childhood traumas that were
She's been through a
unresolved
lot.
that she was dealing with. Okay,
Right.
gotcha.
She
So
she
that
she had
contributed.
abusive parents.
Yeah.
Her mom, some abandonment issues too, because I think her mom pretty much came to the United States, left her with her grandmother to raise her.
Oh
Kind of thing,
wow.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Wow, wow.
so yeah.
Yeah, that's it's crazy because the last guest I had on the show, they were talking about abandonment issues as well,
I
right?
did watch that. That was
Right.
yep.
Yeah, and then it seems like it festers into bigger issues when it's left unaddressed, especially in your case, since you guys got married since you were so young, right? So there are certain things that you didn't really have the time to address, or you probably didn't even know there were issues to
Right.
address, right?
Absolutely.
Because like I said, you were in your senior year in high school. This is like party time, people are experiencing things, doing different
Our
things.
frontal lobe isn't fully developed.
It's not fully developed. Exactly. So there are certain things that you're not thinking about until boom, 3 kids later, you're in a relationship, you're married, and we're like, oh, I have issues, So
Right.
that's why it's important for for people who are getting into serious relationship to do the kind of work that is necessary, because that's why professionals are there. They're there to help you tap into things that you didn't even know exist.
Right.
So
Right. No, it's crazy because, like, even like the way I disciplined my kids back then,
yeah,
it was taught, right? Because it's my parents,
from
my
your
mom.
parents down, yeah.
Right. And as you get older, you're wondering, like, Jesus, like this wasn't, it shouldn't have been this way,
Right.
and I've apologized to my kids, like,
Right.
I've softened up,
Hmm.
the person I am now, it's far from the person I was, even
Right.
even from 20 years ago,
Gotcha.
so
Okay. So, all right. So eventually, you decided you're gonna split. So who filed for divorce?
she filed for divorce. So she
Okay.
she said, after confessing,
Okay.
she says, I want a divorce, you know.
Gotcha. Well, would you have stayed with her if she wanted to, work things out?
No, it
Because she's
wouldn't
the
have
one who
worked.
filed.
It wouldn't have worked. I don't think. You know how many relationships, friends and family that
Yeah.
after infidelity they try to work it out,
Yeah.
and it's just there's just certain things you can't overcome.
Hmm.
I mean, I kudos to those who really like
Who
put the
does it?
work in.
Yeah. Yeah.
This have to be some, I guess serious, forgiveness, obviously,
Right.
but
Yeah.
then, you have to have some type of remorse, or I don't know. It's just you have to really want to work this. I
Of
don't know.
course.
And
Yeah.
of course, I have so many, friends and family members that split up after trying to work, and it's just difficult. I knew I wouldn't been able to.
Got it.
I think we tried it for about a week,
Okay.
and
And
it's like
then
it just we, everything was a trigger, So
gotcha.
so that relationship wasn't gonna work
Okay.
with my cousin.
Hmm.
So then she turned to the nightlife,
Got it.
and
Wow.
hanging out, drinking, not coming home until 6 in the
Yeah.
morning. So I was like, yeah, I don't.
So it's almost like she was making up for lost time, sorry. Because right out of high
Right,
school, she got
right,
into a
exactly,
relationship.
because we were
She got
kids, we didn't get to
yeah,
enjoy that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
making excuses because we were parents. I would not
Right.
have. I mean, I couldn't picture myself leaving my kids to, prioritize anything other than my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I did was I moved out,
Okay.
and I packed up my kids' belongings, some clothing, and I moved out.
Hmm.
My parents had a multi-family house. They had a place available, so I moved in.
Okay.
And I remember being heartbroken.
So you move in, you took the kids with you,
Yes,
all three.
all three,
Hmm.
all three kids. And I remember thinking like she's gonna come home from a long night of partying or whatever,
Yeah.
and she's not gonna see anybody home.
Right.
I did not get a phone call. And it's not from, it wasn't so much because I was done,
Yeah.
but I was heartbroken for my kids because,
Wow.
she went from being a helicopter mom,
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
cared
Yeah.
about her kids,
Yeah.
to, you know, I guess not worrying. But then again, like, I don't know if it was because she felt comfort that they were with me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and did I make it too easy for her to just enjoy, I don't know.
Well, you're a great dad,
You know,
so maybe that's what she had no worries about that.
So yeah, so that life went on for about 2.5, three, almost 3 years.
3 years.
Whereas like her visits to with the kids
Yeah.
were far in between,
Okay.
very sporadic, random.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to see the kids, and then she'll come over and want to have a chat with me. It's like the kids are over there, like
Wow.
spend time with the kids.
Okay. So for 3 years straight, you had the kids full time.
It was rough because I was working nights,
Okay.
and God bless my parents. Like
They helped out.
they came in clutch. Like so, this was my life.
Okay.
I went into work at 7 p.m.
Hmm.
at night. At the time, I used to do 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay.
But then this shift changed, and it was like 7 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Okay.
I would come home to get maybe a couple of hours of sleep, to wake up, get the kids ready for school,
Right.
put them in the bus stop, and then try to get some sleep.
Yeah.
Wake up to pick them
Pick
up
'em
from the
up,
bus
yeah,
stop,
and
help
then
them
have
with
to get
homework.
ready for-
I have to get ready now. My parents would stay with them,
Yeah.
because it was like I lived on the third, my
Yeah.
parents lived on the second.
Nice.
So I would send them to the second floor.
Okay.
And we go to work.
Got
And
it.
that was like a challenge because like I was losing sleep. I think my health started declining then because
Wow, yeah.
I wasn't getting the proper amount of sleep.
Okay. Yeah, because you have to care for all three.
Yeah.
Got it. So now talk to me about the divorce. I guess decree or the divorce settlement. So,
Sure.
not necessarily as far as assets are concerned, but what was the arrangement for like custody?
So that's where it's like I have a lot of regret.
Okay.
So I had an opportunity to get a lawyer
Mm-hmm.
and ask for custody,
Okay.
right, because she was absent.
Got it.
Well, let me back up. Sorry.
Okay. No, no, sorry. Go
So
ahead.
during divorce,
Yeah.
it was going to be a quick divorce. She wanted to get divorced as soon as possible,
Wow. Why do you think she was in such a rush?
to get into another relationship. She
Wow.
had hopes in getting to a relationship.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think she went to the library, picked up a Divorce for Dummy book. I think yeah. We didn't
Really?
have lawyers.
You
We
neither
didn't
of you had
we didn't have
lawyers?
lawyers.
Oh wow.
We kind of like have an agreement.
Let's back up for a second. Why didn't you have a lawyer? Why didn't you pick a lawyer?
So I don't know, right? Because I figured because I didn't know the course that she was gonna take,
Right.
right? If I knew that she was just gonna be like done with the kids,
Yeah.
I would have gotten a freaking lawyer, made sure that I had custody.
Yeah.
As far as the house, I'm not gonna fight over things.
Okay.
I would rather sell, split it, whatever, go our separate ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was one of those things where like there was a checklist.
Okay.
We went down a checklist. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with this? Are you okay with this? Yes. I guess. Yeah, sure.
So was there even like a mediator between the two of you?
So
Or
we went the day of this is funny.
yeah.
The day of the divorce,
Right.
she actually hoped to get divorced on her lunch break. Yeah, she had to. I remember. I don't know if she wanted to reschedule because she didn't have the time off from work. She was
Okay.
hoping to come on
To
her
do it
lunch break,
during our 15
and
minute.
we had to reschedule. I think I don't remember, but yeah, when we did come, we had a mediator,
Okay.
and this is where I started getting the taste of the bias.
Right.
You know,
Of the
the
legal system.
legal system, the court system
Yeah.
against fathers,
Right.
because she wasn't consistently seeing the kids.
Yeah.
She was demanding. She wanted me the schedule that she wanted. We weren't agreeing, so he kind of sent us off to like a conference room.
Okay.
You guys are gonna have to hash this out and
Yeah.
come back when you guys.
Ready.
And she wanted the kids to be with her, and I have them during every weekend,
Okay.
which didn't make sense to me because she didn't have the kids,
Right.
but she wanted every weekend free because
Right.
that's she gets to do. And I did not budge. I just refused.
What did you want though?
I said you can have them every other weekend
Okay, every other weekend.
or every weekend. I think it was every other weekend, and,
Yeah.
and the fact that it would have interrupted her weekend,
Right.
she didn't want them.
Okay. So you would keep them
didn't want
Monday through Friday, and
Yeah.
she'll pick them up Friday afternoon till Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
she didn't want that.
She didn't want that.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was that we end up because she wanted to get divorced that day. So
Okay.
she ended up settling on something. I forget what it was.
No, it's okay.
Right, but
Yeah.
we settled
Okay.
on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We entered back into the mediator's room, the office, and the guy looked at me. He's like, "So you guys are done? You guys agree?" Like, so he looked at the agreement,
Yeah.
and he looks at me, and he says, "Okay, so now just because you got this, don't think it gets you out of paying child support." Then that pissed me off
Yeah.
because I knew what I was arguing about.
Right.
The mother has not seen her kids as often as she should.
Right.
That's what I was arguing about. Like, don't come in court and pretend that you now want to have, the majority,
So how long had this been like after the initial split?
We split in July, 6 months.
So it's been 6 months, and within that 6 months, You can prove that she has not seen the kids. How many times did she see the kids in that 6 months?
In those 6 months, probably once a month.
Okay, did the kids ever like spend at least one night with her within
Never.
that 6 months?
No.
So she just came from
That's what
visitation hours.
that's what her request did not make sense to me.
Okay.
Because she went from like literally her visits when she did see the kids, it was
Right.
literally for 1 hour. And
Okay.
the kids were back.
And-
Like I couldn't even get anything done.
Right.
Because she was already back with the kids.
And you clearly stated that with the mediator that she has not seen the kids
They-
for more than an hour at a time, within that 6 months. Like they don't spend any nights with her. You literally have them full time.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And it's not up to, at least as far as I know, it's not up to the mediator to come to those
Agreement
or solution or to,
determination, yeah.
right. It would have to, if we don't agree, then it would have to go to trial.
Right.
And then let the judge decide.
Got it.
So it didn't matter what I said then.
Okay.
His job is just to come get us to agree.
Mm-hmm.
And and he made that statement
Mm-hmm.
because he thinks that all dads are just trying to not pay child support.
Wow.
And yeah, that was like a slap to my face. I was like, and I snapped back at him. I told him like I'm not trying to get out of pay child support. If I have to pay
Right.
child support, I'll pay it. Which was also
yeah, pay child
absurd.
support for what though? Yeah,
Get
because she
this,
doesn't-
I got screwed here because she was seeing them 2 days of the week.
Okay.
I was paying $800 a month.
You were paying $800 a month, and she was only seeing them 2 days a week.
A week.
Now, all right, let's break that down. Seeing, not taking. So she was only
No,
seeing.
she would have overnight stay.
Oh, she would have overnight
she would
stay.
have overnight
Okay,
stay, right?
okay, got it.
Because I was encouraging that.
Okay.
If you are going to,
Because you wanted the kids to have a relationship with their mother.
I want you to be consistent.
Yeah.
I just didn't want this to be on paper,
Right.
and then you just do whatever you want.
Right.
So when we agreed on the schedule, it was with hopes that she was going to actually follow through on that schedule.
Got it.
I want them to stay with him overnight,
Yeah.
but I just didn't want her to ask for weeks at a time when
Yeah.
I knew that she hasn't been doing that.
Right. Right.
So yeah, she was gonna get him, overnight stay,
Mm-hmm.
2 days a week,
Okay.
and they still ordered me to pay
$800 a month.
because of their formula at the time. It did not matter about, which doesn't make sense.
It's still jacked
Dude,
up.
it's because she was a school bus driver
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in IT.
Okay.
The gap between our income
Was
is
substantial,
what
yeah.
dictates. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with it. Trust me.
Sorry, if I'm getting too.
No. It's good. It's good. I'm just saying. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm very familiar with it. I went through that, a couple of years ago. So
And
I
it used
know.
to annoy me because when people, in passing, you come across and you start catching up with friends and you start telling them, it's like, like, did she pay child support?
Yeah.
I was like, no, I pay her. And they're like, why? It's like, I don't know, But the thing is, like, I didn't have a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just thinking about it. I mean, I know there was a lot going on back then. I'm just wondering, like, why didn't you get a lawyer? Was it the cost of it, or was it you didn't think you needed, or
I didn't think I needed
you thought
because
you and her can work it out amicably?
So these things, right? So prior to this visit, things were discussed.
Yeah.
And I was under the impression that it was all going to work itself.
Right. So you didn't have to spend the money to hire a
Right.
lawyer. So I got it.
Right. So the day of that divorce date, she surprised me with some of these requests.
Yeah.
Right. So the mediator's going down the checklist.
Yeah.
Okay. How about this? How about alimony? I didn't expect, because it was never mentioned.
Right.
Because we sat down
Yeah.
and went through. It was never mentioned. So she says, yes, actually, I do want alimony. And I looked at her.
way.
I think I even called her out her name. I was so, because we were like almost done.
Yeah.
And I looked at her like, are you freaking serious?
Wow.
We never talked about this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I want. So I looked at the guys like, I'm not giving her
Yeah.
anything. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, after what we've gone through, like
Right,
infidelity and this and
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
He goes, he kept asking, he's trying, I guess trying to convince me. Is like, I was like, no, I do not agree with for,
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so that became the final thing. Everything else was completed.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, let's see what the judge says. So he takes us to the judge. The judge calls us up, and he's looking at this, and he's pissed. He's even annoyed at the mediators. Like, why'd you even bring them here?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Get them to agree to something, and bring them back. So I'm surprised he just didn't say, okay, are you guys just completely disagree? Because
Yeah.
we we can schedule a hearing or a trial, right?
Right.
So we end up going back to the mediator's office, and he's like, what I could do is this. What we could do is what he wanted to suggest is, so here in the state of Connecticut, for every year, for the amount of years that you're married, you pay half that in alimony. So if you're married for 10 years, then you pay 5 years.
Yeah.
We were married for 4.
Right. So it should be 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
So he says, in those 2 years, what you could do is we could put down, for the sake of getting this divorce done, you could put down that you owe her $1, right? You pay $1 a month in alimony.
Okay.
But if she wants to, she can come back, file a motion, and have it increased.
Wow.
Then later, at a later date.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not going to agree
To that. Yeah.
to anything.
Good.
We have to come back and fight this in trial. Then
Yeah.
we'll do that. But remember, she wanted to get divorced
Right
on her
away.
lunch break.
Yeah.
So eventually, she's like,
But did she have a guy waiting for her afterward that she was gonna get in? She was gonna get a relationship with?
probably, yeah. So, yeah. So, when she saw that this wasn't going to get resolved,
Yeah.
this was going to cause us to not get divorced today.
Yeah.
She says, never mind.
No
Scratch that
alimony.
off. No alimony.
Okay.
So we got divorced that day. And that was January 9th or January 16th of 2009. No, 2009, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That was like Liberation Day.
Oh, so you thought?
So I thought. So, I'm back in the market,
Yeah.
just
Yep.
meeting new people. I meet who's my wife now,
Okay.
and
That was how long after the
2000.
divorce?
This is 2010,
Okay.
February of 2010. We made exclusive. We made
Official.
official.
Yeah.
And it was a long distance. Actually, it was a long distance relationship.
Where was she?
Florida.
Florida. How'd you guys meet?
It was weird because the funny stuff, working night shift,
Okay.
on social media
On social-
back in the
okay.
day, and we met on social media, and we were just chatting it up. But it was one of those things where, like, because she was that far away.
Okay. Was it MySpace back then? Well, guys, I'm so glad you were able to join us for episode 1 of the series, Custody Conflict Judged, but is it just? So feel free to send this link to someone who might need it, or just feel free to post it on your social media page and spread the work that we are doing here at on 2.0. So we appreciate the love and support. And don't forget, if you have not had the chance to hit the subscribe button, go ahead and do that right now and become part of the 2.0 family. We appreciate you. And as always, don't forget, if you do find yourself to be going through a divorce right now, we just want to remind you, you are not alone, and this is not the end. There is hope. Keep hope alive. Feel free to speak to someone, reach out to a counselor, reach out to a pastor friend or a friend. If you don't have anybody to talk to, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you because I've been there. I know how hard it is. I know how difficult and how challenging it can be. So feel free to reach out to me. And remember, live every day as if it is your last day, because one day it will be. I'm JR. Thanks for watching 2.0. I'll see you next time.